This wild exchange you offer us. way of the Lord, prepare the way of the Lord. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah, let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah, let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah, let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah, let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah, let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah, let the lion roar. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low. Whole valley be raised up, whole mountain be made low.
Welcome, DCC. How's it going, everyone? Let me hear ya, let me hear ya. Love it, love it. It's so good to be together, to be family. And God, we just welcome you in this place. We welcome you into our hearts. We welcome your spirit, what you want to say, what you want to do in us today. We receive you today.
Moving in our midst, I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I that you're working. Even when I don't feel that you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. That is who you are. Yes, Jesus, you're the way maker.
Thank you, Father.
before you sit, say hello to somebody next to you. Well, hey, Discovery, how are we today? Good. Hey, thank you for spending your Sunday with us, especially our online friends. It's so good to have you guys. And hey, if it is your first time here today, we just want to say welcome. We want you to know that your story, regardless of how it reads, is safe here and that you are in a room full of people who are just like you. But we are so glad that you're here today. Whether you're new, maybe you're not, you're looking for ways to get involved in this place, and I'm going to help you do that. So, hey, if you saw our light show during worship and you loved that, our production team can teach you how to do that. If you are a musician and you think to yourself, hey, that's a really cool team, it is. But you love that team and you want to be a part of it, we are always looking to add new musicians to our team. So if you have questions about that, you can head out to the info center in the lobby at the end of service, or you can come and find me and I'll answer anything I can for you. But maybe you're not new here. Maybe you've been here and you want to know other ways to get involved. And so we have some things coming up for you. Men. April 25th through 27th is men's retreat. It is not too late to sign up. So get with somebody in the info center and we will get you all registered for that. Parents, where are you? There are no parents in the room today. How many of you need a break from your children? Okay. Hey, we have Parents' Night Out this Friday night from 6 to 9 p.m. That's April 12th. And it is $25 to drop all of your children off. So take the night, go have some fun, do date night, run errands, whatever you guys need to do. But that is also available to you. Hey, one more. So next week, after service from 12:45 to 1:45, we're doing Pizza with the Pastors. This is a really great opportunity for you guys to meet our pastors, to meet our staff, and ask about the kingdom work that we're doing in this place and how to get involved in any other questions that you may have. But hey, I've got one really cool announcement for you guys. It has been a long time coming. It has been fought for, it has been championed and supported, and now we get to do that as well. Greg has written his first book. Yeah, we're super excited for that. And hey, it is going to launch this series that we're walking into today. It's called The Rest of Your Story. The cool part about that is it's not available until May 7th to the public, but y'all are family. Which means next week, April 14th, that book will hopefully be available to you at the info center. We're waiting for them to come in. But pick one up, dive headfirst into that, and let's champion Greg and Stace in their story and all that God has written in that. Okay. Here we are. Hey, how many of you guys were here for Easter? Great. So then y'all saw 55 baptisms last weekend. Come on, right? Hey, so look, life change is happening everywhere in this place. You guys, it's beautiful. It is God-driven, and Jesus is doing absolutely incredible things. And when you give to Discovery, you give to life change. You give to rescue. You make it possible for those things to take place. And so at the end of service, there's going to be an opportunity for you to give to more rescue, to give to more life change. But we're going to pray, and then we're going to see what else God has for us in this service. Jesus, thank you for today. Thank you for who you are and what you bring. Thank you that this place is a facilitator of life change and that you are celebrated and working in every square foot of this building. So God, we give you this time together. We ask for your words from Greg to hit us directly in the chest, and that we would just soak up all the time that we get with you now. We give this service to you, and we pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Angelica, yeah, that's her in the video. She's the real star of the show. How are we doing today? We doing good? It's good to see you. Good to be with you. If you are a returning friend, like you were here last week for the first time on Easter, and you said, you know what, I'm going to give them another shot, and you're giving us another shot and chance today. Hey, thanks for that. It really does mean a lot to us. Whether you're an old friend or a new friend, you're online, you're sitting in the room, it is so great to have you with us today. As we kick off this journey, this 3-week journey coming out of Easter called The Rest of Your Story. I'm really, really excited about what we're going to talk about these next 3 weeks. But before we jump in and do that, I want to talk for a minute about this, men's retreat. Men's retreat. Guys, I want to say something to you about our retreat here. Here's what I want to say. Push all of the excuses aside. Push all of your excuses aside and do whatever you have to do to be there. Please. Do it for you. Do it for the people you love, the people that love you. Push it all aside. Push all the excuses aside and be there. Our men's team's going to be out by the slat wall. Walk out these doors today. Look straight ahead. You'll see the true grit, the theme for the retreat this year. Go up, talk to them. They'll answer your questions. They'll address your concerns. There's some limited scholarship money available for you. If that's part of your challenge in getting there, they can get you signed up today. And so what I'm asking you to do is to let go of the idea that you're not qualified. To let go of the idea that you're not spiritual enough, you don't know enough Bible stuff, or you don't pray regularly, or whatever it might be, that this is going to be some, bunch of hand-holding kumbaya stuff. Yeah, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. I'm asking you to sign up and to come ready for raw, come ready for real, come ready for transparent and genuine, come ready to be rocked and to have your life wrecked by Jesus. Come ready to come and become something different and come back a different man. And the guys in this room that have been there, talk to us at the table, they will tell you that's what happens at men's retreat. Guys, our hearts are under assault today like never before. We are losing hope and losing heart. What would it look like for us to learn to be men who could walk with a true grit, who could understand that we are never out of the freaking fight? Right? That we are able to fight back against this assault on our lives and stories and the lives and stories of the people that we love the most in this world too. That's what we're going to chase after together on that weekend that's coming up in 3 weeks. So do what you got to do. Hugh Halter's coming in from Illinois, author, pastor, good buddy. He was there with us last week. We're looking forward. We're excited about teaching together. We're excited about leading together, just hanging with you in the downtime, 40-plus hours together in the beautiful mountains of Buena Vista, Colorado. I mean, come on. It doesn't get any better than that. So here it is. You can make excuses or you can make it happen. Right? Don't make excuses. Make it happen. Talk to us. Just talk to us. Have a conversation with us before you get out of here today. All right, enough about that. Thanks for hearing my rant on that. I just love getting together with the men in this place. All right, so the rest of your story. Let's talk a little bit about the backstory behind the rest of your story. This new book that's coming out officially on May 7th, but hopefully that we're going to have available for you next week. So back after Easter of 2019, let's go all the way back 5 years ago, I was asked to come out to David C. Cook, big publisher up the road here, 15 minutes up the road here in Colorado Springs, and they asked me to come out and to speak at their staff retreat. staff retreat, staff meeting, staff meeting. And so there's staff chapel, I think is what they call it. So I go up and I just talk about us. I talk about Discovery Church. I talk about our mission and vision. I talk about, story and rescue. I talk about who we are and what we talk about in this place. After I was done, they took me on a mini tour of David C. Cook. Then they sat me down in a conference room, and this guy named Michael, who is their kind of author acquisition guy, he says to me, he goes, this thing that's going on at Discovery Church, this message of story and rescue, it really needs to be a book. And I said, well, that's great. I don't have time to write a book. And so what happened was over the next 3 years, Michael and I kind of became friends. He and his wife show up here from time to time, and we just pursued friendship together. We'd get together for beer, for coffee, or for lunch a couple times a year, 2-3 times a year, and just talk about life and story and rescue. And he would always encourage me, hey man, get me a proposal for a book. Get me a proposal for a book. Get me a proposal for a book. I was like, I don't have time. Well, finally, in 2022, in the summer of 2022, I did that. But long story short, they loved it. I signed a contract, and then in the first 4 months of last year, 2023, I actually cranked out a manuscript for this book. And hopefully, if things go as planned, I'm going to get to hold the book in my hands for the very first time this coming week. And so, thank you. Thank you for that. I am humbled and honored. I am excited about it. It all feels surreal to me. But the most exciting part, honestly, is this. I think this book has the potential to help a whole lot of people. I really do. I think the book has the potential. This is the most exciting part. If we can just get it in their hands, it has the potential to help a whole lot of people. And so that's why I wrote it. That's why I wrote it. The best part of the book, I'm just going to say this, is the note from Stacy at the end. She wrote a note at the end of the book, so if you get it, you got to go to the end. Read that first. I'd really recommend that. But I think it's going to help a whole lot of people. That's why I wrote the book, and that's why we're taking this 3-week journey coming out of Easter to talk about it. And so I want to start today with the question, what if a part of the path that actually leads you to the life you came in here looking for today, the life you want, really is found in the rest of your story? All right, let's jump into this together and let's begin to talk more about that. If you brought a Bible, we're going to start with one simple verse today. It's a foundational verse. We're going to jump around in the Bible a little bit, so it may be easier just to track with me on the screens today if you want to do that. Be on the bottom of the screen there for you at home too. We're going to start in the book of John today, chapter 10. And as we jump into this today, here's what I want to say about this verse. Just going to read one verse. Jesus captures the essence here. This is Jesus speaking. He captures the essence here of each and every one of our stories. This is your story, okay? It's contained in one simple statement, one simple sentence. It's all packed into and contained in one verse. Let's read it. Here we go. Pretty simple. John 10:10. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. And I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. All right? Now, I mentioned the verse last week. If you're here for Easter, I want to start with the second half of that statement today. Let's just fast forward to the last part of the verse where it says, Jesus basically explains to us, here's what I came to do. I came to bring you life. Now, as we talked about last week, the Greek word here is the word zoe, Z-O-E, which means real life, genuine life, life to the full, an abundant, amazing life. All right, so there it is. That's what's on the table, and here's the question. Is that an honest description of your life today? Is it? Now, for most of us, the honest answer is no. I mean, for some of us, the answer is no, right? Right? Not even close, right? See, there's this thing inside of us where we're kind of afraid to admit it. It's like, I'm not really supposed to say that. But for most of us, for many of us, for most of us, I would say for all of us, but you may be the exception to this. For the vast majority of us, there is a gap today between the life we're living and the life we want. There's a gap. And so my question then becomes this. What are you doing with that? How are we addressing that? The question is, here it is, first one for today. How am I addressing the gap between the life I'm living and the life I want? There it is. What are you doing with that? Now, the truth is that a lot of us are turning to a lot of things in an attempt to do that, to close the gap between the life we're living and the life we want. We are. We're turning to success and titles and prominence and position and education, the letters behind our name. We're turning to money and substances and sexuality to try to close the gap in our life. And I just want you to know, you're not alone. Me too. That's my story too. Back years ago, 20 years ago now, about a year into our church plant. So I left to practice the law, planted a church in North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina. So it was a little less than a year old. I got a phone call one day from a pastor who led a pretty big church, a few thousand people in Washington, D.C. And he said to me, Greg, he said, hey, man, I want you to come and speak to the leaders in our church. I'm going to gather 500-600 leaders. I'm bringing you in. I'm going to bring in a couple of 3 other church planters. And I just want you to tell the story of what God's doing in your new church. God was going gangbusters in that church. We were growing really fast. Things were good. He says, I want you to talk about that. And so I remember hanging up the phone. I'm sitting there and I'm going, man, I have arrived. It's like I've waited my whole life for this. I'm being invited to speak on a stage beyond the church that I'm leading. This is amazing. This is what I've dreamed of. And so I did it. I flew there. I did my thing. I had an absolute blast. And then I'm sitting on an airplane. I'm flying back home on Saturday night. I'm going to preach in the church on Sunday morning. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to look at my sermon notes. But all of a sudden, this sense of uneasiness started to come over me that I really couldn't shake. There I am sitting in the darkness on this airplane. And I started thinking about, not my sermon, I started thinking about these 3 other church planters that I had spent the day with. See, they seem to have something going on in their life and story that, if I'm being honest, I had not found. They seem to have some joy and contentment and happiness and a sense of peace and freedom. They seem to have a freedom that I had yet to experience in my life and story. It's like the great U2 song. I still hadn't found what I was looking for. Now think about that. I found Jesus. I found church. I found religion. I'm in full-time ministry. I'm living my dream. I love it. I feel like I am being who God's created me to be. I'm doing what God has called me to do, and yet I had still not found what I was looking for. And my question is, has that ever been your story? I mean, come on, if you really think about it, that's some of our stories as we sit here today. Now, fast forward the story, just a few months later, I'm sitting in my driveway. It's the moment I talked about last week. I'm sitting in my driveway trying to figure out how I'm going to go in the house and tell my beautiful wife, Stacy, that I've had an affair. I just resigned as the pastor of the church. I have totally and completely destroyed our lives. That's my story. That's my story. And see, here's the thing. When I crashed, I started to discover something. Here's what I soon would begin to discover with the help of a great counselor. His name is Rob. 3 years I spent with this guy. With the help of a great counselor and a few close friends who came alongside of me. Don't go it alone, right? Sometimes in church world we think counseling is a sign of weakness. That's just, I'm going to throw the BS flag on that. It's not true. Man, great counseling will change your life. But with the help of a great counselor, here's what I discovered. The answer to all the questions, and there were lots of questions when I blew up. Can't you imagine that? Greg, here's one. How could you have done that? Right, you're a pastor, right? Yeah, you love your church, right? You love your family, right? How could you have done that? How could you have done that to Stacy? How could you have done that to your girls? Greg, why would you do that? Why would you? The answer to all the questions were to be found, here it is, you ready? In a part of my story I had never really considered. A part of my story that I'd never really heard talked about much in church. That I'd never really heard discussed much in church. Now, the answers to the questions are found there. None of the answers justify what I've done. There's no justification for what I did. But it began to help me start to understand it. See, I was aware of my sin. I was aware of all the mistakes, all the moments. We don't really forget those, do we? We have an enemy in our story. He makes sure we don't forget those, right? I'm telling you, I'm getting older. I forget a lot of things. It's like my wife, honey, what's your name again? I mean, it's terrible, right? It's just like you get old, you start forgetting stuff. Where did I do with that? Where did I put that? It's horrible. Sin, we don't really forget that stuff, do we? So here I was, 41 years old. I was aware of all my sin. I had no context. I was aware of all I'd done. I had no context for what had been done to, and said about me. I had never really given much thought at all. to that part of my story. See, discovering this path that would ultimately close the gap in my life between the life I'm living, even as a pastor, and the life I want, that would lead me to the life that I wanted, required a journey back into and through my story. The rest of my story, the part of my story I'd never given much thought to before. And so here's what I want to say to you today. Listen, if you sit here today and the honest answer, if you were honest, you still haven't found what you're looking for. And if that's your story today, hey, you're in a safe place, it's good. You need to admit that. That despite all of your years in church, right, and all your best Christian religious efforts, that you still find yourself coming up empty. If that's you, here's what I want to say to you. We have to stop looking around and we have to start looking within. We have to stop looking to all the things the world's looking at, like success and prominence and titles and position and money and sex and substances and all this stuff. We have to stop looking at all the things that we look at in church. That Bible study, this study, this study, this study. Oh, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to take a seminary class. We got to stop looking around. We've got to start looking within. Every train wreck in your life, every head-on collision, every derailment presents a great opportunity. It does. And so if you're sitting there today, there is opportunity in your disaster today. I want you to know that. There is opportunity in disaster. Now, here's the trick. It's going to take some digging. It's going to take some exploration. It's going to take some excavation. It's going to require some real effort on your part. And sometimes it's going to involve some real pain too. You will be tempted on the journey to hit the eject button and just abandon the journey altogether. Sadly, I've seen it happen in the lives of lots and lots of people that we've walked into this stuff with. So all of that is true, but at the end of the day, here's what I want you to know. There is no detour. There is no way around this. The path, finding the path to the life that leads to the life that we want, requires us to take a journey back into and through our stories, back into and through the rest of our stories. Now, I want to throw a couple other verses out here that I think will help us as we unpack this a little bit today. First one's this is Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Paul, he writes a lot of good stuff. He says this. He says, therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. All right, so Paul says this. He says, hey, let me tell you what this life you're looking for looks like. Let me tell you what this life that you want, what it actually looks like, okay? First, it involves, here's the word, sacrifice, which by definition means it will not be easier. It's not an easy life. I mean, we try to sell it that way sometimes in church. I can't tell you that. I mean, here's the thing. The life that Jesus came to bring you is seldom easier, always better. That's it. Paul says, remember that. You need to remember that as you walk into this, as you chase this life that you're after. And then he says this, hey, don't try to do it the way the world does it. It's not going to work. Don't turn to the things the world is turning to try to fill the emptiness, to try to close the gap that exists in your life. Remember, it is all about transformation. And so when we read what Paul's saying here, here's the question I think starts to come to the surface for us. I want to give you three choices. The first is the accumulation of information. The second is behavior modification. And the third is transformation. Which is it? I'm not saying which should it be. I'm saying which best actually today describes me. What has church life, religious life, life with Jesus, if we have that in our lives, what has that become for me? That's the question. Now, here's why I asked you that question, because you can't believe and behave your way to the life you want. Behaving is good. It is. Saying no to temptation is good. Believing the right things. I mean, studying, believing, yes, good stuff. It's only going to take you part of the way there. You cannot believe your way and behave your way to the life you work. True transformation comes from not filling our minds. And here's what we focus on a lot in church. I got to know more, I got to know more, I got to know more, I got to know more. It's all about knowledge. That is not a bad thing. But true transformation doesn't come from filling our minds. Paul says it comes from renewing our minds. And the Greek word here for renew, it means renovate, renovation. It means total and complete makeover. Extreme home makeover, extreme mind makeover. It means total and complete change for the better. That's what Paul's pointing us to here. See, he's helping us see one of the major problems that we all face. This is true inside and outside the church. By the way, you know what it is? We got some really jacked up thinking. It's our stinking thinking. Right? That is a problem for us. And I'm not talking about what I think about church, what I think about religion, what I think about the Bible, what I think about Jesus. That is not what is most working against me. You know what is? It's actually what I think about me that is most working against me. I want to go back to John 10:10 for a minute. Jesus says, here's what it could be. Here's what I came for it to be. Now here's the problem. He actually gives us the problem before he tells us what it could be. This is John 10:10. He says there's a thief in your story. There's an enemy in your story. I love the description of the enemy here as thief. I do. You know, we saw the lion at the beginning of the service today. That's Jesus, the Lion of Judah. That's the conquering lion. But the enemy is, we're told, Peter tells us that there's a lion, roaring lion, seeking to devour you in your story. The same thief who wants to kill you. So he's described as a lion. Revelation, he's a dragon. There's all these, you see it and you scream kind of things. But here's the thing about this thief description that we don't talk about a lot. In order for a thief to be successful, you don't realize what he's doing to you as he's doing it. When is the last time you were tempted and didn't realize it? Like never. You know what's wrong. Right? God's put that thing inside of us, right? We've got this thing, right? You see the temptation. But in order for him to be a good thief, he's doing something to us that we're not aware of as he's doing it. So what is this thief trying to steal from us is the question. Our innocence, yes. Our purity, yes. Our relationship with God, of course. Our trust in God, you can't trust God, of course, every single day of our lives. Our relationships, the ability to have what relationships could be. I'm not just talking about marriage. With each other, yes, he's trying to steal that. The list goes on. We could add a lot of things. But what I want to say to you today is the thing that the enemy most wants to steal from you today is this. You ready? Your ability to look in the mirror and see yourself like God sees you. That's what he's most after in your story. Your ability, because when God sees you in the mirror, you know what he sees? He sees something amazing. He sees something beautiful. He sees a beloved son, a beloved daughter. See, he sees somebody that he unconditionally loves, that he'll never stop pursuing, and that he will never give up on. That's what he sees. My question is, what do you see? Do you see where the enemy's working in your story? Now here's what this broken mess of a pastor who was sitting in his driveway trying to figure out 20 years ago, trying to figure out how he's going to tell his wife what he's done. Here's what that guy believed to be true. Are you ready? Now, I didn't know any of this at the time. I've learned all this in this journey, almost 20 years now into this journey. But here's what that guy, sitting in his car, having done this terrible thing, here's what he believed to be true. I am ugly. I'm weak. I'll never be enough. I will never be strong. I will never have what it takes. I will never really be a man, and no woman in their right mind will ever be attracted to me. That was a part of the rest of my story. That was the background music that the enemy was playing. Right? That's the record that he's spinning, the background music that's playing every single day of my life. And see, in these numerous moments of pain over the course of my life, in these numerous moments of hurt and pain in my life, the enemy is sitting right there. He captures each and every one. Listen, the enemy doesn't miss a single moment of pain in your life. He doesn't. He don't waste it. It's an opportunity for him. He takes those things, the messages that came in that pain. I am weak. I am ugly. I will always be. I will never be. Boom. He takes that. He puts it together and he builds the case against me. Now, there's so much to this. I don't have time to talk about it today, but let me say this to you. So this is why Paul says to us, you got to be aware of the devil's schemes. You got to understand his strategy. And Paul actually gives it to us, but here's the challenge with it. He doesn't lay it out in one place. He talks about it in different books that he writes in the New Testament, second half of the Bible. Now and I also want to say this. This is chapter 3 of the book. I'm not trying to sell the book to you, but this is chapter 3. You know what it's called? The only easy day was yesterday. Why? Because it's true. That's your story. It's my story too. That actually happens to be a Navy SEAL motto, by the way. The only easy day in your life was yesterday. I want to try to give you the highlights real quick here. And so these things in our lives happen. They hurt us. It's not just what happens to us. It's the message that comes with that. You are weak. You are ugly. So these messages that come and come to us. And so there's similar messages coming over the course of our lives here. And it's like, and all of a sudden, you know what we do? You hear it enough, you just agree. You know what? That's true. That's true. We make agreements, and then the enemy takes those agreements. He establishes this, what Paul calls a foothold. It's a place to operate from in our lives and stories, and he rolls. And when we don't address those footholds, they become strongholds, which Paul talks about, which are permanent places to operate from. See, these strongholds that have been established in my story ultimately crush the people in this world, rip the hearts out of the people in this world that I love the most. That's what this stuff does. This is what we are up against. See, here's what I want you to understand about temptation. You're going to be most tempted where you're most broken. See, the reason that temptations are so tempting, you're like, why can't I say no to that? It's like, oh, and then, and you got the rubber band, you pop yourself. You're like, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it, and you do it. Why are these temptations so tempting to us? I want to tell you why. Because they seem to offer some medication for the pain of the agreements that you've made in your life. It's like, then this pain will go away in my life. They seem to be able to prove that those agreements, guess what? They're not even true. And so footholds, these places that the enemy operates from in our stories, if we don't address them, if we don't notice them and address them, they become strongholds, permanent places for the enemy to operate from on a daily basis in our lives and stories. And Paul says, listen, you got to demolish that stuff. They have to be demolished. So the question then becomes, how do we do it? How do we do that? Let's finish this. So Paul is not only kind enough to tell us there's a strategy here, man. This is not random. It's like, I think I'll try this. I think I'll try this. No. There's a strategy. He not only gives us some insight into what it is, but he starts to point us to a part of the solution for us. Now, this is 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5. Here's what we do. We demolish arguments, these agreements, and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. Think about it. Thought comes your way. Boom. Is this consistent with God's heart for me, or does this sound like somebody else? It's a great test. We take captive every thought, and we make it obedient to God. Okay, if this doesn't feel like God's and his heart for me in my life, I'm going to demolish this thought. Now, here's the problem with this verse. You ready? The word obedience. Because every time we read the word obedience as Christians, we think temptation. This is not only about our tempting thoughts. These are about the thoughts that are destroying us, causing us to lose our heart too. Here's what we got to understand. I want to say this to you. This thief in our story, I want you to know this. He cares less about what we do. Like, yep, he's tempting me, man. He's trying to get me to, he cares so much less about what we do than he does about how we see ourselves because of what we've done. Why? Because he can do so much more damage in and to our lives with that. Think about it. You're a follower of Jesus. All right, I'm not saying our sin's a big deal. Jesus died for it. But exactly, Jesus went to the cross for it. So my sin, if I'm a believer in Jesus, is gone because of the blood of Jesus, right? Yesterday's, today's, tomorrow's gone. That's not a license to sin. Don't go there. But my sin is gone. What remains? Shame. And we need to talk more about that. But the enemy can do so much more damage in and to our daily lives with that. And this is why, all this is why Discover Your Story is a part of our mission statement in this place. We exist to help people dive into, walk into, and discover their stories. Why? Because the path that leads every single one of us to the life we want, the life that we came in here looking for today, the life that we come in here looking for every single week, requires a journey back into and through our stories. And so, here's my question. What if the rest of your story, from this day forward, your future, depends on the healing that you experience in the rest of your story, from this day backwards, your past? What I want to tell you today is this. It does. It does. I want you just to start thinking about that. And so last question for today. You've heard a little bit about my story. Here's a pretty easy question. What's yours? What's your story as you sit here today? You'll never really matter. You'll never be enough. That you're never going to be seen. Right? That you're not smart enough, good looking enough, good enough, successful, worth the time of day. You'll never be desired or pursued. Nobody will ever want to be with you. You'll never amount to anything. That you're always going to be second choice or third choice or fourth choice or somewhere else further down the list. You're always going to be weak, a failure, a screw up, good for only one thing, good for absolutely nothing, poor, stupid. You will always be blank. You will never be blank. What's it look like for you? What's your story? And here's what I want to say to you. Jesus cares about every bit of that. He wants to walk with you into every single bit of that. And that's good news. It's really good news. But I want to do more than just tell you that today. I want to give you a tool today that was really helpful for me. It's kind of, my counselor got me started down this path, and then I kind of just kept working it. And I think this will help you take a step into your story, to start to walk into your own story. I think that it will move you closer to the life you want, the life you came in here looking for today. It is not a substitute for great counseling. Please don't hear that. But I do think it's a great way for you to get started. Now, this is actually out of the book. This is page 72 and 73 of the book. If you don't buy the book, don't sweat. We'll get this in print for you. In fact, I found out that Wes has put this on the app. It's in the sermon notes today. So it's printed out there for you. You can go there to get it, and we'll continue to figure out ways to get this in front of you. I want to give you 6 steps here that I think will really help you. I want you to think as far back in your life and story as you can remember about times and moments that hurt you, and write them down. My counselor did this with me. I didn't want to do it. I thought, that didn't hurt. Rub some dirt on it. I'm okay. Write them down. Step 2, don't minimize or compare it to someone else's. Just write it down, all right? So write it down. Number 3, don't try to figure out why something hurt. Just admit that it did. There's no shame in that. Number 4, consider what message that moment spoke to you about you. What was the message, not just the hurt, what was the message about you that came to you in that moment? And what I say here is, often what happened to you in the moment is less painful than the message that came to you that is connected to the same message, another moment in your life and story. Number 5, as you consider these moments, think about whether any of these moments have suggested something similar to you about you. Any other moments? Are there themes that have been established or conclusions that you've reached about yourself in your own life and story? See, sometimes a moment of pain in our lives or hurt in our lives, it doesn't point to anything new. It just points to, it reinforces something that you already believe to be true about you that you don't want to be true about you. It's good. Number 6, last one. Ready? Never stop digging. Never stop digging. You got to understand, this is a process. This is a journey. This is not one and done. Some of this stuff is buried really, really deep in your story. Intentionally. Why? Because I don't want to think about that moment ever again. And so stay committed to digging. I want to tell you this. So my counselor told me make this list, and I was reluctant, and I pushed back and all this. I finally did it. It started to change my life. I started out with about 35 things, and now almost 20 years later, it's probably more like 80 to 100 moments that have continued to surface in my life. So here's the question. What would it look like for you to begin to dig, for you to begin to excavate, to explore, for you to begin to uncover and then take to Jesus, not just the bad things you've done, but also the bad things that have been done to you, and said about you. What would it look like for you to start to experience Jesus and all he came to do in that? Now, that's a whole lot to talk about, and that's why we're going to have to talk about it in depth next week. So I hope you come back next week, but we can start the journey today. And so I'm hoping, let's spend the last few minutes of our time together today just beginning to take like a baby step into some of this stuff. We're getting ready to pass communion. The little tray, cracker and cup of juice represents the broken body and the blood of Jesus, the sacrifice that he made on the cross for each and every one of us because of our sin. God sent him to do what we couldn't do for ourselves. And he says when we get together, we should do this to remember him. And so we do it every single week. As you get it, your follower Jesus, just take it out of the tray, and then you take it whenever you're ready. We're not going to take it together today like we did on Easter. Whenever you're ready to do that, your follower Jesus, take communion on your own time. So let's just go back. Let's remember what Jesus has done, and let's be grateful for that. And here's what I want to ask you today to do. What do you want Jesus to do for you? Because he's not finished. He said, it is finished. Right? Your sin gone because of what he did for you. But what do you still want? What do you still need Jesus to do in your story? I just want to encourage you today, just take the first step. Invite him. Invite him into the mess that is your life. To all the hurt, all the pain, all the guilt, all the shame, everything that's there. Invite him to lead you into a journey back into and through your story. Why? So that you can experience not just his forgiveness, but his healing, his redemption, his restoration, his hope, his life, his joy, his freedom. All of the things that he came to this earth to bring you. If you'd like someone to pray for you or just to walk with you in this, what's going on in your story today, or as you think about your story in the past, those circles on the wall back here, anytime during these next few minutes, you just want to get up, go to the back, go to there. There'll be people there who would love to talk with you, listen to you, care for you, pray for you. Whatever you need today, we are here today for you. So you take communion these next few minutes whenever you're ready to do that. But first, hey, let me pray for us. Jesus, we need you. We need you to come. And Jesus, we're grateful for what you've done for us. Up to this moment in each of our lives and stories. I mean, the fact that we're sitting in this room is a miracle for some of us. Thank you for doing for us what we couldn't do for ourselves, going to the cross, dying on the cross so that we could be forgiven. All of our sins gone because of your broken body and your blood. Jesus, we're so grateful for all you've done. But Jesus, we're grateful that the story doesn't end at the cross. That, like we celebrated last week, you come out of that grave, and that you promise us that your resurrection power now lives in us. And we need that. Jesus, we thank you that there's always more every day of our lives to experience with you. And we've made this story so much smaller than it really is. And so Jesus, would you come into our lives and our stories today? Forgive us for our sin, yes, but Jesus, come into our hurt, our pain, our guilt, our shame, our self-loathing. Jesus, begin to heal in each of our lives and stories today. Jesus, we want this life to the full, this thing that this thief is trying to steal from us. Come, Jesus, start us on a path together today with you to find it. In your name we pray. Amen.
Grander earth is quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice, and the seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken for my regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Far be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me. All right, DCC, let's stand and worship together. Grander earth has quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice, and the seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken for my regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are
Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me. All right, I'm supposed to do some reminders and then dismiss you guys. But I just want to say, I just feel like there was like a really holy moment there, and I feel like God was speaking all around the room. So if you need to like take a minute and sit back down and like just let that moment happen, please, or if you want to get prayer, which I'm about to talk about. But whatever you need to do, don't feel like you need to rush out of this space. If God was speaking to you, take a minute, pause, do what you got to do. All right. If you have questions, head on over to the info center, and they'll have the answers to all your questions. So really grill them out there, guys. The app, we have an app. You should download it because it'll keep you in the know on any of the events and the happenings and all the good DCC stuff. Prayer, like I said, if prayer is how you'd kind of like to respond to this moment, have someone join you in maybe what God's speaking to you, there will be people under these screens, to my right and to my left. And then giving. We love to give because when we give, we're supporting the people in our city and we're being on mission with DCC. And so there's some boxes in the back as you leave. They're yay high, about hip height. And you just scan the QR code. Earlier in rehearsal, I said, drop your donations in there, but that's wrong. Scan the code. Make sure to give that way because it's easier and better. All right. I think that's all. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll see you next week.